project number 6 years in the making. Finally done. Welcome back to Werner Farms, guys. So yesterday, after meeting with our agronomist and fertility specialist, we went over to Plymouth John Deere and Knox to get the different style gauge wheel bearings for our gauge wheels that we got from Yetter. They sent us gauge wheels without the bearing with the shaft like this for the set screw style arms that we have on our planter. They didn't realize that. Not a big deal. Their solution was you could either update the arms to the new style with the bolt, or you could see if John Deere's bearings with the shaft would work, and we checked and they will. So all we have to do is just punch the bearings out on the Yetters and punch these in, and we're good to go to put these on the arms. So that is what we're going to work on today. Basically work on at least getting the gauge wheels off, get the gauge wheels on the arms, and we have to go through, before we put those back on, we're going to go through and check the ketons. I know we just put ketons on last year, but there's two rows. I think it's row 7 and row 14, I believe, if I remember right. If not, we'll find out here when we plug in with the garden hose and run water through the ketons and double check and see which rows we need to take a look at. I know there's just 2. It might just be an issue of just tweaking the hoses on them, or it might be that we just need to put 2 new ketons on, which we're half thinking we need to. We're also going to clean all the screens before the Ys here on our 2x2s. So we just have to go up here and take the screens out and clean all the screens on every single row. That's a real pain in the rear and real time consuming, but we definitely need to get that done. So we're hopefully going to get all of that done today. If we need to get new ketons, we'll run down to a precision guy down in Couts and get that. We do have fertilizer coming down from Michigan. No idea what it's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be the in-furrow and possibly our 2x2 mix. Yesterday, while our agronomist was over, he dropped off all the Xyway we needed, so it's just going to be 5 gallons. That is enough to do 40 acres. So we're going to have one 40-acre trial or 2 20-acre trials. We haven't really decided yet. We could do either or, just depending on which field or fields that we decide to put it in. But Dad and I are pretty enthused to see how this systemic fungicide works. Basically, you apply this down on the planter, and essentially this is supposed to be just as good if you were to do a fungicide application, say at like VT to R2, and possibly, just depending on at least the way they sell it, that you could eliminate that spray pass late season. The only thing that we have noticed is that it's necessarily not saying it's all that good on control with tar spot. So there is a possibility that we're just going to have to spray for tar spot, but this is a good trial and error to see how well it performs in our area against tar spot. Who knows? Maybe this does perform really well against tar spot, and we might end up shifting away from a late season fungicide and just go to a Xyway application. Who knows? Nope. Not yet. So I'm going to get the skid steer loaded on the gooseneck and get the green truck down the grandma's, but we've got a couple of neighbors that have a couple of dump trailers and semis. Are going to haul the dirt pile down there on woods number 2 down to woods number 1 so we can put that all on the lane and get that lane built up. So I'm going to use a skid steer down there and get that dirt leveled out. Should only be no more than 4 semi-loads. We'll get this knocked out hopefully this morning, and this afternoon we're probably going to end up cleaning up a couple of trees on a few farms. Yesterday they did not bring fertilizer. I had a sneaking suspicion that they weren't, just because our order changed from what they thought it was going to be up at Lake Shores, so there was just a little bit of confusion there. So I didn't think they were going to bring fertilizer yesterday on a less than 12-hour notice as far as a change goes, because they were planning on bringing fertilizer down on the basis of what was originally sent, but it wasn't known from all 3 of us, except at least 2 of us knew that it was tentative. I guess the 3rd guy didn't know it wasn't tentative and took that order seriously, even though it was just tentative. Anyways, I'm going to get this loaded up and wait for the guys to get there and get loaded, and then they can follow me on down there. And there's one of the neighbors. Well, it shouldn't take Dad long to load them. Alright, they just got the dirt dumped. I just have to get it all spread out on the lane and get this lane built up real nice, and possibly later today we'll go get some grass seed and use the neighbor's drill and get some grass seeded in some spots that we want to get some grass growing. is it. So woods number 1 and 2 are going to be hopefully done over the weekend here. Woods project number 1, 6 years in the making. Finally done. We field cultivated it a few times, got it picked up every time after we hit it with the field cultivator. Just picked it up for the last time. This puppy's ready to plant. Oh my goodness, it is so nice to have that done. We've got the lane done. This is going to be one heck of a lane once we get this seeded to grass. I'm just going to touch up this portion that Dad did before, from basically the yellow sand up to the road there, and get that smoothed out a little bit. And everything that we picked up from out in the field where that woods was. Watch out, Axel. Dad's gonna go just up the road and hit the edge of a field where I cleaned up some brush and get that nice and leveled up with the field cultivator. And hello. And get that done and take the tractor down to another farm that a landowner had a barn taken out, and hired somebody to clean up the remaining part of where the barn was. And basically all we have to do is just hit it a couple of times with the field cultivator and get it leveled up and picked up a little bit, and call that spot good. And that is going to be it for today. But I do want to show you guys how the gauge wheels turned out on the planter, so stay tuned for that. So all the gauge wheels from Yetter, the narrow spoke gauge wheels, are on except for row 16. There's no issues with row 16, except for the fact that somehow, I don't know what the deal is, but we somehow managed to lose one snap ring. And that snap ring is to hold the bearing in on the gauge wheel when we were changing the bearings just for the bolt that Yetter had on the gauge wheels, and we swapped them out for the shaft style for the set screw for our arms because we have the older style arms. So we have to run down to John Deere, take that snap ring out, and hopefully they should have a snap ring for this gauge wheel, and then we can put both these gauge wheels back on. Nice thing about our 4.5-inch gauge wheels, we can actually use those on the drill, so those will work perfectly on the drill. So if we ever need to switch gauge wheels on the drill, we've got 32 all ready to go. Necessarily, we really don't need the spokes. The spoke is just more if you're planting in not ideal, more moist conditions and you're going to have a buildup of mud or wet soil on the inside of your gauge wheels, and it won't allow soil to flow good through the gauge wheel and openers. Spokes allow the soil to flow better through the gauge wheels and the openers when you have those kind of issues. Necessarily, we are not planting in those kinds of conditions, so necessarily we don't need the spokes for that aspect. Going over residue and also root balls, having a lesser footprint will allow the row unit not to ride up as much. Necessarily, we don't have that big of an issue. Just reading in the No-Till Farmer magazine, a lot of guys have had a lot better success running the 3-inch over the 4.5-inch. So we've always wanted to just go to the 3-inch style. Dad's best friend runs the 3-inch non-spoked version. Basically, they look just like our old gauge wheels, but they don't have spokes and they're 3-inch. We just wanted to go to the spoke style, better soil flow and less contact for the gauge wheels on the residue. So this will be pretty awesome. I can't wait to see these out in the field. And I imagine it will help with residue flow also coming off the row cleaners. So this will be really cool to have the complete Yetter row unit now. Got our shark tooth row cleaners from Yetter up in the front with clean, sweet precision air cylinders on them. The Yetter narrow spoke gauge wheels. Yetter dual fertilizer injectors, the 2x2x2s, twister closing wheels, and Yetter drag chain. Complete Yetter row unit. We feel this is the way to go. We really like this setup and cannot wait to put these narrow gauge wheels to the test. First part of next week, we'll get this thing done. As far as getting it out of here, that's a whole nother story because we've got seed pretty much stacked 4 or 5 deep in front of the door here, so we're not going to be getting that out probably till the 2nd week of April. So with that, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.